Hello, friends. You are watching the new Generation Airships project, and we have a new little segment, a series of podcasts with members of the project team. And today, our guest is Shamil Arslanov. He is one of the youngest members of the project. Hello, Shamil. Thank you for agreeing to come and take part. Could you tell us a little about yourself, how old you are, where you're currently studying, because I know you're a student, and also a bit about how you ended up joining the project in the first place?
Hi, I'm 19 years old, and right now I'm currently studying at the Rocket and Space branch, which is actually a branch of MAI, indeed. I joined the project quite unexpectedly, right when it was just starting out, when we were moving into the office. That was around late September or early October of last year, to be precise. At that time, I had a lot of free time after classes, and my father would bring me here to the office. The previous tenants were just moving out of the office, and we were setting it up. The very first thing I did there was assemble chairs in our office, and that's how little by little.
I was just helping out as much as I could with the move and getting settled in.
Well, yes, out of sheer boredom, I personally helped to assemble the chairs. Then there was the very first significant meeting where Vadim Vasilievich thoroughly discussed the entire concept of the Nova 2 airship in great detail. At first, I truly didn't understand anything at all. Not a single term, not a single component of these incredible airships. And that's pretty much exactly how my initial introduction to Aeronova went.
So, how exactly did that happen? Did they begin gradually delegating tasks to you, or how precisely did it all unfold?
Well, turned out we needed to make a model, the Nova 01 that we have at the airfield now, and there were various components. The first thing they gave me was the empennage. Well, not to me personally, it was assigned to the production department. And to model it effectively, instead of creating an extra dedicated team of people, they simply handed it over to me for the time being, so I could find the absolutely most suitable people for the important job.
Did they know you were in this field?
Yeah, I already had experience with CAD programs. I worked at an enterprise, and we were taught them at the educational institution. And when I made the first type of stabilizers, it was different from the current ones. Gradually, the tasks grew and new elements were added.
At some point, I must have proven myself well enough since I ended up on the team.
Most likely, that's precisely how it remained, because whenever a new task came in, I could effectively solve it. And as the various tasks gradually decreased in number, it just remained in that particular way.
I am honestly and genuinely quite surprised because despite your remarkably young age, you already take on a considerably wide and diverse range of important tasks related to the development of airships. And it's not just our prototype Nova 01. I know that you're also involved in the development of Nova 2, Nova 8, and even Nova 35. I think that's an amazing experience for someone your age. And it's great that you ended up here and are absorbing the whole process. Do you actually enjoy it yourself?
Yeah, I certainly do. There are a great many specialists here in the office who are always truly happy to show, teach, and explain everything in detail.
To share, what's the overall atmosphere like here?
The atmosphere is very friendly. For me, a key factor here is that no one keeps their knowledge to themselves. I think that's a very important and crucial factor, because if you're at a company where everyone consistently hides their valuable information from each other,
Or they're just really too lazy to share it because they think it's a quite silly question and it seems quite trivial to them.
but here the atmosphere is very friendly and open, and knowledge is completely accessible to everyone.
Yes, and I've experienced this myself because when I first came here, I didn't know much about airships either. And whenever I'm curious and ask any questions, even if they seem trivial or silly, I've never once encountered anyone looking down on me or considered the question stupid or inappropriate. I always got answers, and that's great.
Even in our network, we have a company network with various file sends. As soon as the company was founded, textbooks on aeronautics with all the formulas were immediately uploaded there. This is actually quite valuable information, and some people would try to keep it secret. But here, everything was made openly available right away.
Are these someone's private developments that were truly shared
There are textbooks too, private developments, wind tunnel tests of various envelopes. A lot of knowledge was made available right away without any restrictions.
So that everyone could absorb, study, and learn. You're studying at May in your 4th year. Tell me, are you able to balance your studies with work? Do you still have time for your personal life, for hobbies? Because I know that we often really leave the office at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and sometimes even later. Overall, does this interfere with your studies or your personal life?
Well, studying now allows for a lot of work. There's a special form you fill out that lets you both work and study. As for my personal life, I have enough time for everything. It's just that sometimes tasks come up that require you to stay late to solve them. Work can come to a halt because of one person. Even in those situations, you need to stay a bit longer and get the job done.
Actually, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into this fascinating subject. Do you ever really talk to anyone about airships at all? No, you don't share that with anyone.
I share with close people.
How exactly do they typically react? Like, whatever, it's just an airship.
No, they react positively.
Positively? What impression? I come across two types of people. Some say it's old, forgotten, ineffective, unusable. For others, it's like science fiction, something that could only exist in the distant future.
What do I encounter?
Yes.
People often think it's a completely banned mode of transport, that its production and design have been totally and utterly prohibited, like the famous Zeppelin, which everyone vividly remembers from history. Right now, there's a truly huge airship in operation that takes tourists for enjoyable rides, but I'm specifically talking about that particular accident. And after that, I think you simply can't just shut down an entire industry solely because of one very serious accident.
Yes, I think there were actually many factors that played a role in why airships disappeared. Of course, there are conspiracy theories as well as quite objective reasons, but the fact remains airships are certainly a thing of the past, and I truly think it's quite foolish to deny the undeniable fact that today airships can perform a significant number of tasks that other forms of transport simply cannot handle.
Well, yes, that's absolutely right. It was truly a combination of various factors that happened at that particular time that played a significant role. It was indeed in favor of airplanes, and that's precisely where development went. It was wartime back then, and in general, the industry was quite expensive. Helium itself was only produced in specialized laboratories, so everyone flew with hydrogen, and that unfortunate accident happened after 70 successful flights of that particular airship.
So before that, it flew perfectly well, fulfilled all its tasks, and there were no complaints about it at all.
Yeah, so people mostly remember that accident. When you tell them that most people actually survived, they're surprised, because that's not something that's usually reported.
That's why some conspiracy theories appeared online about why they disappeared. But the simple reason is that it was just filled with hydrogen. That's all there really is to it. But because of the particular way in which it was presented, it became such a very vivid and quite frightening event. It was widely covered everywhere, so people were left with the impression that it's dangerous and scary, and it's better to stay away from it. But our task now is to truly change that.
And we're moving toward that with a new generation of airships, which are built entirely with new technologies, new materials, and use a safe gas. This allows us to make a tremendous leap forward in the development of the industry. Right now, we are essentially without significant competition from other sectors, since it truly takes a substantial amount of dedicated work to introduce this innovative environment into society. But if we consistently fuel it with our remarkable achievements, we will undoubtedly get a truly phenomenal return. This is a new industry that can give rise to other enterprises and directions.
And all it truly takes is to simply lift them up into the vast sky, and they will naturally present and effectively sell themselves, so to speak. However, there is a major task ahead in properly informing the public, popularizing this topic, and dispelling many of the myths that have formed around it. Because despite past disasters and problems, airships can be and are safe. They are not as slow as people imagine. They are capable of carrying heavy loads.
The safest ones, turns out, the most load-bearing.
Among flying vehicles,
Yes, and they can actually stay in the air for the longest time.
economical, eco-friendly,
You can easily transport your valuable cargo with the right equipment.
with the lowest possible carbon emissions.
Yes, if we consider our power plant, which we are developing, it only produces water as a byproduct. That is, the heat and exhaust gases are recovered and redirected into the envelope, which compensates for itself. In terms of ecology, we do the least possible harm. I don't even know what we could compare ourselves to.
I don't know. Which airship models is this planned?
Starting from the Nova 8.
From the Nova 8? Are you already planning to install solar panels there then, perhaps?
I can't say anything about solar panels yet, but our proprietary power plant, which meets the highest environmental standards, is already planned and work is underway. Large scale, everything is moving toward making this a reality.
That's why I think it would be at least foolish not to take advantage of this. If such solutions exist and are right in front of us, we need to implement them.
Which is what we're doing now.
Yes, and no one is denying that airships have their drawbacks. All modes of transport have them, but there are tasks that airships can handle perfectly well, and I believe we should use them for those purposes.
So that specialized vehicles can effectively work on very specific and intricate tasks. Airships are indeed very well suited for those particular tasks that we currently cannot perform. In various server locations,
Yes, can you specify what tasks?
to put it simply for many people to easily understand, an airship can efficiently transport extremely heavy and substantial cargo over very long distances. And it can also handle cargo of enormous size without shaking or tipping the load. Without vibrations, it simply picks it up and moves it, with takeoff and landing done solely for the cargo. This is extremely helpful when transporting hazardous materials. For example, in the rocket industry, rail transport is often limited by the size of the rockets themselves.
By their dimensions.
Yes, by size. Although it would be more productive to make the rocket a different shape. So this really opens up a completely new scope of work.
The rocket industry itself faces logistical challenges, and based on logistical capabilities, they design components for launch vehicles.
That's precisely how it is. The airship truly opens up entirely new areas where we can further develop our capabilities.
How do you currently perceive the evolving airship industry and the innovative company Aeronova developing within the next 5 to 10 years?
Our company's dedicated employees were among the very first to see that concise 1-minute presentation video of Aeronova, a truly innovative product. In the video, you could see
how well all the stages were illustrated,
the Aeronova office, the production, the hangar. I think that's what we'll achieve through this data.
For those who haven't seen it, this is a presentation video from the company Aeronova where they step by step showed, illustrated, and explained how the company will develop. From small initial prototypes from a relatively small production facility to truly massive large-scale manufacturing operations and incredibly huge airships, that's exactly where we are ultimately headed. In general, a period of 3 to 5 years is the established deadline and the projected time frame for the Nova 35 project.
Yes, for the full launch of rigid-type airships. This is the first airship of this type, which will allow us, with its capacity, to operate it productively for commercial purposes.
And to build even more airships in the future.
This is indeed the smallest model among all the rigid-type airships currently available.
It is worth noting once again that within the ambitious next-generation airship project with a substantial budget of $100 million, the Nova 35 will undoubtedly be the largest rigid-type airship ever constructed. But if we carefully look at the company's very large-scale and ambitious plans for future expansion, this particular airship will undoubtedly be the smallest among all those currently planned going forward into the future.
Right now, we urgently need to move from the Nova 01 airship to the Nova 8 airship. This particular type of advanced airship is already in high demand, both within our country and internationally abroad.
And why is that? Tell me a bit more in detail.
Well, first of all, it's the payload capacity and the duration of the flight. These two factors are extremely important.
Can you tell us more? What will its payload capacity be?
I've heard it's around 3 to 4 tons, but I could be wrong. I can't say for sure.
Again, it all truly depends on its specific type and particular model. The very same Nova 8 can be either a classic or a hybrid. Hybrid models can significantly increase payload capacity thanks to their different and improved aerodynamics. That's why an airship of this type will be able to lift between 2 and 4 tons. This makes it attractive for the cargo transportation market.
Yes, this type of airship is highly valuable. It can transport cargo over long distances without damage, which is a key factor.
There's absolutely no need for expensive infrastructure such as asphalt, runways, or other extensive facilities.
You just need two prepared sites.
One to take off from and one to land at. That's quite interesting. Plus, the Nova 8 also opens up some significant and exciting tourist opportunities. I think it could comfortably carry up to 15 to 19 people, making it a versatile and highly practical option for various travel needs and future endeavors.
Yes, in that range. But our path to the Nova 8 starts with creating the Nova 2, which will help us master the production aspects. Because the crucial transition from Nova 01 to Nova 2 is indeed one of the most inherently difficult challenges, since we absolutely need to meticulously figure out precisely how to effectively place, efficiently manufacture, and safely transport the exceptionally large components of these airships, so that we don't have to rent any special transport for moving them from the production site to the assembly area. All of this valuable experience gives us significant insights so that when we eventually get to Nova 8, we'll be fully and completely prepared.
Ideally, I see the production area and the assembly workshop being in the same place, preferably on our own land, so that we could take off right from there. That's the ideal scenario, of course.
We're working towards that, but circumstances don't allow it just yet. We're expanding our team, increasing our spaceboat production and testing areas.
Plus, no matter how you look at it, it also depends on the company's financial capabilities.
This is all part of the entire journey we have to go through.
That's why it's truly great that we chose this step-by-step approach, starting with relatively small airships, where we can test out ideas, plans, and solutions, making necessary mistakes so that the larger models ultimately end up being more cost-effective. But before this, had you ever even heard of airships? Did you truly know they existed?
No, airships were never truly on my personal radar. I consistently and primarily focused my attention only on the inherent technical shortcomings and significant limitations of this particular type of transport. Consequently, I never really looked into it any further or explored its potential in any meaningful way.
So now, after getting deeply involved in the project and extensively talking to experts, have you learned anything significant for yourself?
Of course, I believe that if we are moving towards building airships, then this is being revived all over the world because modern needs and technologies are on a completely different level compared to the airships of the past.
So you really see a lot of potential in this and then want to develop in this direction?
Yes. I think if we don't do it, someone else will. But right now we are pushing this field forward.
And this is already happening. In fact, many countries have suddenly, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of collective consciousness, but they've started developing in this direction. China, America, Germany have been doing so for quite some time now. But the thing is, no one has really achieved any truly impressive results in this area yet. But it's great that this trend is emerging, and overall, I don't even see it as a matter of competition. On the contrary, it's great that people in different countries are working in this direction, and together, through our combined efforts, we'll bring this kind of transport back to the skies. But I'm confident that Russia and we ourselves have great prospects and opportunities to become one of the leaders in this field because we have excellent specialists.
Yes, we have specialists who are in demand worldwide with the knowledge base they've developed during their careers at these enterprises.
Yes, and not only did they design them on paper, they actually built and launched them for real. Shamil, let's say you were given your own personal airship, for example, the Nova 8. What would you use it for? Where would you apply it? What kind of business would you build with it? Or how would you use it in general? Maybe you turn it into an apartment and just travel around.
Man, you really do ask some questions. Yeah, that's truly wild. That's not just a house on wheels at all.
It's like a yacht. It's such an expensive pleasure, I think, and expensive to maintain.
It's like those epic round the world yachts, like round the world journeys.
That's what I want for myself.
On an airship,
How would you really use it?
well, if it were my own personal airship and I had absolutely no other needs or pressing concerns, then you could really turn it into a comfortable house on wheels, well, a house not on wheels, a house without wheels, basically. Yeah, a house without wheels, get it all completely set up and ready, and you could embark on a truly amazing round the world trip in your very own personal airship.
The soul also longs for travel, but if you were to take a business angle, what would appeal to you more? Some kind of cargo transportation, giving tourist rides, maybe advertising or monitoring.
Well, if we're talking about large scale business ideas, then it's transportation, cargo shipping, high volume operations that I think would yield the greatest return. And for personal use, if there were a small, dedicated fleet of these airships, I truly believe it would completely and utterly transform the advertising of products. Like we previously discussed, perhaps those panels could be effectively added.
Some kind of LED lighting, projection panels.
And then completely cover the airship with them so it could fly over big cities and display various entertainment.
Yeah, nothing would prevent a gondola underneath, with people giving them rides as well.
We need to work towards this and see if it's actually possible to do.
Personally, I am confident that this is more than possible. It's just a matter of time and effort that needs to be put in. But looking at how the project is developing, we're moving forward confidently.
Well, confidently, since we've already brought Nova 01 to life and now we are diligently working on Nova 2, taking into careful account all the significant mistakes we made at the airfield and during the entire manufacturing process. All of this valuable experience will be thoroughly considered, and a more advanced and improved airship will be produced on a much larger scale.
And the cool thing is that all of this can actually operate completely autonomously.
This is a completely separate field and aircraft in its own right. It already has its own set of tasks that it can perform. All of this expands the range of applications for the airship.
Shamil, thank you so very much for joining today's podcast. I think we will certainly see each other again in future episodes. Maybe we'll explore a new topic to discuss next time. Friends, I'm also saying goodbye to you. See you soon. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, learn more about the Next Generation Airship project in detail, join us, follow us, and we'll see you in the next episodes. Bye, everyone.